The dissertation was about like that networking and political acumen, not bad political acumen, but good political acumen and vast relationships. The people people have more relationships means that they have more power, and that the strength of that relationship. My theory was that the stronger our relationship is with somebody. So if you have colleagues, if you have 50 LinkedIn connections that you're really close to, let's say. And by the way, only human beings can only really have 100 real connections. After that, they forget, they don't know, right? Like if you look through your stuff, you'll say, who are these people? I don't remember those people, because our brains can only handle like 100, which is why throughout history, communities were always, little towns and communities were about 100, right? But anyways, my theory was that the closer these relationships were, the deeper that they were, the more value that we would exchange for that relationship. So, Michael, you and I are best friends, right? Which means that I would think that you and I would trade resources better. I would do more things for you, you'd do more things for me. And that the weaker the relationship was, we would do less. And my whole premise was that the future of the organization was about having strong relationships, and that the stronger the relationships were in the organization, the more productivity they would have. That's kind of like the overall theme. And it kind of makes sense, right? But there was research done throughout like the 50s and the 60s that, like, you've heard of 6 degrees of separation. You've heard of that before, right? The research showed that the weaker ties, the weaker your relationships were with people, the more value you got from them. And I thought that that's old fashioned. We've evolved from that. That's what my theory was. So I tested Business Network International dyads. So there's a bunch of these all over the place. And I went in and I measured the relationship strengths within those groups. And then they actually measure the referrals that they give to each other. I measured those referrals and determined that the weaker the ties, the more value people provide to each other. And like what that's weird, like, right? But what is that if you're my best friend, I don't have to impress you anymore, right? I don't have to impress you. I already got you. You're already in my, you're already living in my cave with me, right? But but to survive, I really need to know the people in that other community and those people that are trading these other things, and like I need to have these other resources. And because I don't know them, I'm trying to win them over all the time. So therefore, I'm going to give them more value, and that's pretty cool. So I don't know. So I proved myself wrong. I was disappointed about the outcome, because I like to think that we're evolving into this better place where relationships are better, but that's not how it turned out. But anyway, still good, still interesting.
So your dissertation was in 2008, really before social media started taking off, where we have way more loose connections than we've ever had before. For my LinkedIn, I have like 700 connections. I personally know maybe 25 or 30 of them, but they're resources for me. If I need something, I can reach out to them and say, hey, we have similar interests. I'm working on this. Do you think you might be able to provide resources? So do you think that if you were to examine your dissertation topic in 2022, that it would only reinforce your findings, or do you think that it would have shifted more towards your original hypothesis?
No, I still think my original hypothesis was wrong. I still believe that, like, I'll do a favor for my neighbor more readily than I'll do for my brother. Why? Because my brother's a pain in the neck, and I already know him so much, and I assume what he knows, right? But my neighbor, I want my neighbor to like me, and I want my neighbor to let me use his excavator, and I want I want to, like that's so that dynamic's not going to go away. But when I did this, social media was really just taking off, and I remember saying at the time publicly, I remember saying and writing about it, that social media was going to provide us all this value, and we're going to have more relationships and all this other stuff, and I think that there is a limit to that. So I have 1,000 or more people on LinkedIn that I'm linked into, right? And to be honest with you, I don't know who these people are. I met them at a conference, I met them at a talk. They were employees at a company I worked for. I've probably met them, but I don't remember them, because my brain is not capable of remembering all those resources. So to some extent, I think there's a what's the phrase? There's not a return on investment after so many, And I don't know about you, but I mean, personally, my Facebook account and my LinkedIn account, I do accept people on LinkedIn, but my Facebook account is pretty much just my friends now, like the people that I feel that I want, that I have a connection to. I'm not using it for resource development, or I'm not using it for, political power. I'm not using it for whatever. I'm using it because it's my heart's there, right? Like I get to see my kids and, my in-laws' children, and I get to see my cousins, and I get to see close friends and talk to them. So, and I think that, I actually think LinkedIn, again, I've talked about before, LinkedIn is a model of what's going to happen in the future. It's really a sloppy way of doing it, but we're all on there. We're all using it for connections and to gain resources, and that's really worth it for sure. But I think it's a sloppy version of what's coming in the future. What's coming in the future is a more refined version of that, where it'll be more useful and more real and more relevant. How many LinkedIn invitations do you get that as somebody, and I don't blame them, because LinkedIn, the whole premise of LinkedIn is I'm going to be on LinkedIn, therefore I want to be LinkedIn and I want to be connected to people. So therefore I'm going to provide value. And if they ask me for value, I'll respond to that, right? That's the ground rules. That's the game. But how many times, I must get 3 or 4 LinkedIn invitations a week saying, hey, listen, I know you're an executive coach and I can help you find clients. I see that we have a lot in common. I'd like to link in with you. Well, I don't know these people. And so should I really connect with them? Should I really do that? So I think that we have to refine it a little bit better and get it to be a little bit more real and relevant. So to answer your question, in the future, I think we'll refine these systems better, but we're probably only going to have a certain amount of close, strong and weak ties that we readily connect and work with. Yeah, that's what I think. So it'd be interesting to do that research again and find out, right? And so my whole idea about social media being this thing that was going to greatly change our society for the good, I still think it's possible, but the sloppiness of it so far is not proving out. It's not good for mental health. It's, it's this, even the stuff we're doing here on YouTube, hopefully we're trying to provide value, but how much stuff out there is just not good. How much are we looking at screens? How much are we, what endorphins we get out of every ding we get from our phone or computer, right? I think that stuff's going to change in the future, where we'll learn how to manage this stuff better. Like I don't usually carry my phone anymore with me. I try to put my computer away on weekends and not look at it. Important people that need to connect to me know how to get to me if they need to. I'm trying to less screens, less time doing that stuff. I think all of us want to do that, and I think we'll evolve to manage this a little bit better.